Captain Dae-ho Kim stood at the viewing port of the human vessel Horizon *, his back straight and his face calm despite the storm of emotions inside him. Today, humanity would join the Galactic Council. "Captain, we're being hailed," said his communications officer. Dae-ho nodded. "Put them through." The screen lit up with an alien face. It had blue skin, large eyes, and no visible nose. "Human vessel, follow our guidance beacon. The Council awaits." For centuries, humans had looked at the stars and wondered if they were alone. 20 years ago, they got their answer when they detected strange signals from deep space. 5 years ago, they finally made contact. Now, Earth had been invited to join the community of 7 advanced alien species that called themselves the Galactic Council. "Ambassador Park, are you ready?" Dae-ho asked. Ambassador Jun Park adjusted his formal uniform. As ready as anyone can be when they're about to meet 6 alien species for the first time. Their ship docked at the massive space station. Dae-ho had seen pictures, but nothing prepared him for the real thing. It was like a small moon, with towers and domes covering its surface. Ships of strange designs moved around it like bees around a hive. A group of 10 humans, including Dae-ho and Ambassador Park, walked from their ship. They were met by aliens of different shapes and sizes. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4. Some had scales, others had fur. "Welcome, humans," said a tall, thin alien with silver skin. "I am High Counselor Elzar of the Venturi. We welcome Earth to this historic meeting." The council chamber was huge, with a round table at its center. 7 large chairs sat around it, with smaller seats behind them for advisors. The human group was led to the one empty section. Ambassador Park stepped forward. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, we come in peace and friendship. Earth is honored to join your community." "Yes, yes," said a stocky reptilian creature. "Now we must assess your contribution potential. What technologies do you bring?" "We have made great strides in renewable energy, medicine, and space travel," Park began. "Primitive achievements," interrupted another counselor. "What of your defense capabilities?" Park looked to Dae-ho, who stepped forward with a data tablet. "The United Earth Defense Force consists of—" "Wait," said the reptilian, leaning forward. "You still use biological soldiers, not automated combat systems. We have some automated systems. But yes, our military is primarily human," Dae-ho explained. A strange sound filled the chamber. It took Dae-ho a moment to realize the aliens were laughing. "And your weapons?" asked a 4-armed alien with purple skin. Dae-ho tapped his tablet, showing images of Earth's most advanced fighter ships and weapons. "They use projectile weapons," exclaimed one counselor to another. "Physical projectiles." More laughter echoed through the chamber. A blue-skinned alien with a neck twice as long as a human's rose from his seat. "I am Admiral Vrex of the Solari Defense Command. Human, are you suggesting that these relics could defend against modern threats?" "Our weapons and soldiers have proven effective," Dae-ho began. "Against other humans, perhaps," Vrex said, his voice dripping with mockery. "But in space, against energy weapons and quantum disruptors, your ships would be vaporized before you could even target your— what did you call them? Missiles." The chamber erupted in more laughter. Dae-ho's face remained calm, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped his tablet tighter. "We understand we have much to learn," Ambassador Park said smoothly. "That is one reason we are eager to join the Council." "Indeed," said High Counselor Elzar. "And we welcome you despite your developmental stage. The Venturi themselves were once young. All species grow." Dae-ho caught the eye of a human woman standing near the back of their delegation. Lieutenant Su-min Lee, Earth's new military attaché to the Council, gave him the slightest nod. Her expression said what he was thinking. Asterisk remembered this moment asterisk. As the meeting continued, Dae-ho watched the aliens discuss humanity as if they were talking about children. Their words were polite, but their meaning was clear. Humans were weak, primitive, a curiosity, not an equal. Asterisk let them think that asterisk, Daiho thought. Asterisk let them underestimate us. They have no idea what humans are capable of when challenged asterisk. He didn't know how right he was. Lieutenant Su-min Lee stood at attention as Admiral Vrex paced around her. 3 months had passed since the first meeting with the Council. Now, as Earth's military attaché, she faced daily reminders of how little the aliens thought of humans. Your request to join the Polaris Sector Patrol has been denied, Admiral Vrex said, his long blue neck swaying as he spoke. The Council feels humans are not prepared for actual combat operations. Su-min kept her face blank. May I ask what roles we are prepared for, Admiral? Observation. You will be stationed at Outpost 47. It is far from any action, but you can watch our training exercises from there. His mouth formed what she had learned was an auxiliary smile. For educational purposes. Thank you for this opportunity, Admiral, she said, the words like ash in her mouth. Later, in her small quarters on the Council station, Su-min sent an encrypted message to Earth. Asterisk. Status unchanged. Still treated as children. No combat roles approved. Asterisk. The reply came hours later. Asterisk understood. Continue as planned. Colonel Han sends regards. Asterisk. Su-min smiled at the mention of Colonel Han Toshik. Back on Earth, he was preparing human soldiers for space combat, even as the Council dismissed their abilities. The next day, Su-min was ordered to the science wing of the station. A Venturi scientist named Talax waited for her. Ah, the human specimen, Talax said, gesturing to a chair. Please sit. We have completed our assessment of your species. Su-min sat, keeping her expression neutral. I'm interested in your findings. Talax activated a screen showing human anatomy. Fascinating creatures, humans. You lack the sensory abilities of the Meraxi, the strength of the Dovin, or the speed of the Xelari. Your skin is thin, your bones break easily, and your respiratory system is inefficient. I see, Su-min said. However, Talax continued, you have one notable trait. You are what we call endurance predators. In your primitive past, you hunted by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Most species either ambush or sprint. The concept of hunting through persistence is unusual. Su-min leaned forward. Does that offer any advantages? In modern warfare? No, Talax said dismissively. Combat is quick and decisive. Your endurance might have helped you chase animals on your home planet, but it has no place in space battles or against advanced weapons. Talax showed her more data about human physiology, explaining how each aspect was inferior to one Council species or another. Su-min listened carefully, memorizing everything. When the session ended, she returned to her quarters and sent another encrypted message. Asterisk, they've analyzed our physiology. They see our endurance, but think it's useless in modern war. Sending full report now. Asterisk. On Earth, Colonel Han Toshik read Su-min's report in his underground office. The training facility around him hummed with activity as soldiers prepared for a war the Council didn't think they could fight. They think our endurance is useless, he told Captain Do-hyun Park, his second in command. They've decided we're weak before they've seen us fight. Do-hyun nodded. Their mistake. Han walked to a large window overlooking the training area. Below, hundreds of soldiers ran obstacle courses while wearing heavy gear. Others practiced combat in simulated zero-gravity chambers. Speed up the advanced tactics training, Han ordered, and double the endurance drills. Yes, sir, Do-hyun replied. The soldiers won't like that. Han's face remained stern. I don't need them to like it. I need them to survive it. Because if they can, they'll survive anything the galaxy throws at them. He looked at the latest intelligence reports from the edges of Council space. Strange signals. Missing ships. Something was happening out there that the Council wasn't talking about. We have 6 months, Han said. 6 months to prepare for whatever's coming. How can you be sure something is coming, sir? Do-hyun asked. Han pointed to the reports. Because peace never lasts, Captain. And I want humanity ready when war finds us. Little did he know how soon that would be. The emergency alarm blared through the council station, startling Lieutenant Soo-min Lee awake. She jumped from her bed and rushed to dress in her uniform. In 6 months at the station, this was the first real emergency. She hurried to the command center. Inside, chaos reigned. Alien officers rushed between stations. Screens showed maps of space with large red areas spreading across them. Admiral Vrex stood at the center, barking orders. When he saw Soo-min, he motioned her over. "What's happening, Admiral?" she asked. For once, Vrex didn't look down on her with his usual smug expression. Instead, his face showed something new. Worry. "We are under attack," he said simply. "A species we have never encountered before. They call themselves the Voidborn." Soo-min looked at the main screen. Where did they come from? The dark space beyond the Krell Nebula. We had no outposts there. Vrex pointed to the red areas. They have destroyed 3 colony worlds already. No survivors. A message came through on the main screen. It was High Counselor Elzar, his silver skin looking dull with stress. "All Council forces are to mobilize immediately," Elzar announced. "The Auxiliary 4th Fleet will engage the enemy at the Toral system. The Meraxi and Dovan forces will defend the core worlds." Soo-min noticed something. "What about Earth? What are our orders?" Vrex looked at her as if he'd forgotten she was there. "Your world is not under attack. It is too far from the invasion route. You will continue your observation duties." Before Soo-min could protest, alarms sounded again. A new message flashed across the screens. "Toral system lost. Auxiliary 4th Fleet defeated." The room fell silent. An entire fleet gone in hours. "Impossible," whispered Vrex. 3 days later, the situation had grown worse. 5 systems had fallen. 2 more fleets had been destroyed. The council called an emergency meeting, and for the first time, humans were invited. General Ji Woo-yoon had arrived from Earth with a small team. She sat quietly as the council members argued about strategy. "The Voidborn ships move in patterns we cannot predict," said the Meraxi representative. "They ignore our formation attacks and target our command ships first. They also use strange weapons," added the Dovan leader. "Energy fields that disable our systems before we can fire." Admiral Vrex pounded his fist on the table. "We must combine all remaining fleets for a single, massive strike, and leave the core worlds undefended," countered another counselor. "Unacceptable." As the argument continued, General Yoon raised her hand. The room gradually fell silent as the aliens noticed. "The human wishes to speak," Elzar said, surprise in his voice. Yoon stood. She was shorter than most aliens in the room, but her presence commanded attention. "The Council faces an enemy that does not fight as you expect," she said calmly. "Your tactics are predictable because you have fought the same way for centuries. You need something the enemy will not expect." "And what would that be?" Vrex asked, his tone skeptical. "Us," Yoon replied. "Humans." Laughter erupted around the table, though less confidently than before. "With respect, General," Vrex said, "this is not the time for jokes. What can your primitive forces offer against an enemy that defeats our advanced fleets?" Yoon walked to the main display and brought up images of the Voidborn battle formations from previous encounters. "Look at how they move," she said. "They target command ships because they know your forces cannot function without direct orders. They disrupt your communications because they know you rely on them." She turned to face the council. "But humans train to fight even when communications fail. We adapt when plans collapse. Every human soldier can make decisions in the field." The council members looked at each other. "Let us help," Yoon continued. "Send a mixed force, your technology with our soldiers. Let us show you what humans can do." After a long silence, Elzar spoke. What exactly are you proposing, General? A small mission, one ship, a reconnaissance team to gather intelligence on the enemy. Vrex laughed, but it sounded hollow. And you think your humans would succeed where our best scouts have failed? You met his gaze steadily. There's only one way to find out, Admiral. The council debated briefly, then Elzar raised his hand for silence. Very well, he said. One ship, one mission. But I warn you, General Yoon, if you fail, humanity's standing in the council will be severely damaged. Yoon nodded. Understood. And if we succeed? No one answered. No one expected them to. Major Sun Hee Kang checked her weapon one last time as the scout ship Shadow Seeker approached the edge of the Mira system. Around her, 5 human soldiers and 6 alien warriors prepared for their mission. We will follow standard council reconnaissance protocol, announced Creel, the auxiliary commander who technically led the mission. Scan from a safe distance. No engagement with the enemy. Sun Hee nodded but exchanged knowing glances with Captain Do-hyun Park, who had arrived from Earth with General Yoon. The humans expected this mission to be anything but standard. Entering the outer edge of the system, reported the Meraxi pilot. Sensors detect debris, likely from destroyed council ships. Put it on screen, ordered Creel. The main display showed twisted metal floating in space, once proud ships of the council, now just junk. Stop here, Creel said. Begin long-range scans. Sir, Do-hyun said respectfully, may I suggest we move closer to that large asteroid field? It would hide our energy signature while allowing closer scans. Creel looked down at the human with surprise. That would deviate from protocol. We scan from established safe distances. The established distances didn't keep the previous scout ships safe, Sun Hee pointed out. The Voidborn destroyed them all. After a moment of consideration, Creel nodded. Very well. Move us to the asteroid field. The ship glided toward the massive rocks. Once hidden among them, they began their scans. I'm detecting unusual energy signatures, reported a Dovan science officer. Coming from the third planet. Magnify, ordered Creel. The screen showed a once green world now covered with strange black structures. Ships moved around it like insects. Those are Voidborn ships, Creel said. At least 30 of them. We have the intelligence we need. Let's. Alarms blared suddenly. 3 ships approaching, shouted the pilot. They've detected us. Impossible, Creel said. We're hidden in the asteroids. They must have technology that can detect our engine heat, Do-hyun suggested. We need to move. The ship shot forward, trying to escape, but the Voidborn vessels were faster. They cut off the escape route. We have no choice, Creel said grimly. We must fight. The Shadow Seeker turned to face the enemy ships. Laser fire erupted between them. The Council ships' weapons were powerful, but the Voidborn ships moved erratically, making them hard to hit. Our shields are failing, reported the engineer. A direct hit rocked the ship, throwing everyone to the floor. Smoke filled the bridge. We need to abandon ship, Creel ordered. To the escape pods. They'll just hunt us down in space, Sun Hee said. We need to reach the surface of that moon. She pointed to a small, rocky moon nearby. Creel hesitated, then nodded. All crew to the landing shuttle. They raced to the shuttle bay. As the last person boarded, another hit rocked the ship. The shuttle launched just as the Shadow Seeker exploded behind them. The shuttle streaked toward the moon, pursued by the Voidborn ships. It took several hits before crash landing on the rocky surface. Everyone out. Sun Hee ordered as smoke filled the cabin. The mixed crew stumbled onto the barren surface. The sky above them darkened as the Voidborn ships landed nearby. Form a defensive line, Creel ordered. The alien warriors stood in an orderly formation, weapons ready. No, Sun Hee said firmly. That's exactly what they expect. Do-hyun, scatter the team. Use the rocks for cover. Creel stared at her. That is not how council forces fight. We stand together. And you die together, Do-hyun said bluntly. Look around you. This terrain gives us an advantage, but only if we use it. The sounds of approaching void-born troops echoed across the rocks. We have seconds to decide. Son, he said, your way has failed against them before. Let us try our way. Creel looked at his warriors, then at the humans already moving to take positions behind rocks. Very well, he said finally. We will try the human way. As the void-born troops appeared, tall, skeletal figures with glowing eyes, they found no orderly formation to attack. Instead, fire came from multiple directions, from hidden positions among the rocks. The battle had begun, and for the first time since the war started, the council forces weren't immediately overwhelmed. The human way of war was about to show its worth. The rescue ship landed at the main council station 1 week after the battle on the moon. Admiral Vrex stood at the docking bay, his face unreadable as the survivors walked out. Of the 12 who had gone on the mission, 9 returned. 3 council warriors had died. All 5 human soldiers survived, though they were injured. Captain Do-hyun Park limped forward, his arm in a makeshift sling. Behind him came Major Sun-hee Kang, her face bruised but her eyes alert. The council warriors followed, looking exhausted but alive. Commander Creel, Vrex said, addressing the auxiliary officer. Report. Creel stood straight despite his injuries. Sir, we encountered 3 void-born ships. They destroyed our vessel. We crashed on a moon and faced ground troops. Yet you survived when no other scout team has, Vrex noted. How? Creel hesitated, then said, we fought using human tactics, sir. A murmur ran through the watching crowd. Vrex's eyes narrowed. Explain, he ordered. The humans suggested using the terrain for cover instead of fighting in formation. They showed us how to set traps and ambushes. When the Voidborn expected us to be in one place, we were in another. Vrex turned to look at the humans. Is this true, Major Kang? Sun-hee nodded. Yes, Admiral. We simply adapted to the situation. The human soldiers fought, impressively, Creel added. Especially Captain Park. He continued fighting despite injuries that would incapacitate most warriors. Vrex studied Do-hyun with new interest. Is this true, Captain? Do-hyun shrugged, then winced at the pain in his shoulder. I did what any human soldier would do, Admiral. Later that day, Admiral Vrex requested a private meeting with General Yoon. They met in his office, with only Lieutenant Soo-min Lee present as a witness. Your soldiers performed beyond expectations, Vrex admitted. The Council has reviewed Commander Creel's report. It is enlightening. Thank you, Admiral, General Yoon said calmly. Does this mean humans will be allowed more active roles in the war effort? Vrex paced the room, his long neck swaying in thought. Your tactics may have value in specific situations. However, let us not overstate this small success. The Voidborn still outnumber and outgun us. Your primitive projectile weapons and lack of advanced armor remains a significant disadvantage. With respect, Admiral, Soo-min said, our weapons may be less advanced, but they proved effective. In one small engagement, Vrex countered, not in a full-scale battle. General Yoon leaned forward. Then give us the chance to prove ourselves in a larger engagement. Vrex stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. I will authorize 1 human combat unit to join our forces at the Proxima defense line. As General Yoon and Soo-min left the meeting, they shared a small smile. It was a start. Meanwhile, in the science wing, Commander Hyun-ji Choi studied the data recovered from the moon battle. As Earth's tactical analyst, she saw patterns the Council scientists missed. Look here, she told her team, pointing to recordings of the Voidborn movements. They attack in groups of 3. When one is injured, the others change behavior. Like they feel each other's pain, noted her assistant. Exactly. I think they have a hive mind structure. When one knows something, they all know it. Hyunji pulled up more images, and see these differences in their appearance. I think they have specialized types, like insects, soldiers, workers, maybe even queens. She compiled her findings and sent an urgent message to General Yoon. Asterisk. The Voidborn are a hive species. Their strength is unity. Their weakness is specialized dependence. Standard council tactics will never work against them. We need to break their coordination patterns. Asterisk. As she worked through the night, Hyunji began drawing up plans based on Earth's long history of warfare. The council fought by the book, but humans knew that sometimes you had to throw the book away. If the council would listen, she might just have found the key to fighting the Voidborn. But would centuries of military tradition allow them to change before it was too late? Colonel Min-ho Kang stood before 500 alien soldiers in the large training hall of the Proxima Defense Station. Behind him stood 30 human trainers. The aliens looked skeptical. I am Colonel Min-ho Kang of Earth, he announced. For the next 10 days, we will teach you to fight the Voidborn the human way. A Dovan warrior raised his hand. Why should we learn from you? Your species has fought in space for less than a century. My people have fought among the stars for 1,000 years. Min-ho nodded. And in those 1,000 years, did you ever face an enemy like the Voidborn? The warrior fell silent. The old ways aren't working, Min-ho continued. The Voidborn have destroyed 12 council worlds in 2 months. We must try something new. He activated a large screen showing the star map. Red areas showed Voidborn territory, growing larger each day. Today we start with the most basic human military concept: adaptation. Min-ho pointed to his human trainers. Each of you will join a training group. You will learn to fight without depending on central command. You will learn to use terrain as a weapon. You will learn to think like the enemy, to predict their moves. As the training groups formed, Lieutenant Jin Woo-baek led several council engineers to a separate room. There, he showed them human weapon designs. Your energy weapons are more powerful than ours, Jin Woo admitted. But they have weaknesses. They need time to recharge. They overheat. The Voidborn know this. He placed a human rifle on the table. Our projectile weapons are simpler. They work in more conditions. They don't rely on complex power systems. But they're so primitive, said auxiliary engineer. Jin Woo smiled. Sometimes primitive is reliable, and reliability wins battles. 3 days later, Admiral Vrex visited the training facility. He watched with growing interest as mixed human-alien squads ran combat exercises. Instead of strict formations, they moved in fluid patterns, using cover and coordinating without constant orders. Impressive, he admitted to General Yoon, who stood beside him. But will it work against the Voidborn? We'll soon find out, she replied. Our scouts report Voidborn ships approaching this sector. Vrex's communicator buzzed. After listening briefly, his face darkened. They're here, he said. 3 Voidborn cruisers just entered the system. General Yoon turned to her aide. Alert Colonel Kang. Prepare all trained units for combat. As alarms sounded throughout the station, Vrex looked uncertain. General, these units have only had 3 days of training. Perhaps we should rely on traditional forces for this battle. With respect, Admiral, Yoon said firmly. Traditional forces have lost every battle against the Voidborn. It's time to try our way. After a moment, Vrex nodded. Very well. The mixed units will leave the defense. 2 hours later, Colonel Min-ho Kang led 5 mixed human-alien squads in assault ships toward the Voidborn cruisers. Each squad had been trained in human tactics. Remember your training, Min-ho told them over the comm. Don't form predictable patterns. Attack from multiple angles. Communicate constantly. If you lose contact with command, continue the mission. The alien warriors looked nervous but determined. Squad 2, Target the leftmost cruiser's engine section, Minho ordered. Squad 3, create a diversion at its front. Squads 1, 4, and 5, follow me toward the main cruiser. As the small ships broke formation and approached from different directions, the Voidborn cruisers seemed confused. They were used to council ships attacking in orderly patterns. Lieutenant Jin Woo-baek, flying with Squad 2, watched his tactical display. "It's working," he said to his mixed crew. "They don't know who to target first." The human-led forces struck hard and fast, then changed positions before the Voidborn could respond effectively. The new hybrid weapons, Council energy technology combined with human design principles, cut through the Voidborn ship's defenses. For the first time since the war began, the Voidborn were retreating. On the command ship, Admiral Vrex watched in amazement. "They did it," he said quietly. "They actually did it." General Yoon allowed herself a small smile. "This is just the beginning, Admiral. Now, we take the fight to them." The battle was won, but the war was far from over. Captain Yoon-ji Ryu had never seen so many ships in one place. The Council's Grand Armada filled the view screen of the command center. Over 2,000 vessels of all sizes gathered to defend the core worlds. "The largest fleet assembled in Council history," said High Counselor Elzar, who stood nearby with other Council leaders. "Surely this will stop the Voidborn advance." Yoon-ji wasn't so sure. In the 3 weeks since the first human victory, the war had reached a stalemate. Human tactics had stopped the Voidborn from advancing further, but hadn't pushed them back. "The Voidborn are adapting to our methods," she warned. "Their hive mind learns quickly." Admiral Vrex nodded. Once humanity's greatest critic, he now valued their input. "What do you suggest, Captain?" Yoon-ji approached the main tactical display. "We've been fighting defensively, meeting their attacks. But to win, we must surprise them." "How?" asked the Meraxi fleet commander. "With an old Earth naval tactic," Yoon-ji said. She manipulated the display to show a new formation. "It's called a feint and flanking maneuver." The alien commanders stared at the display with confusion. "You want to split our forces?" one asked, horrified. "That violates basic military doctrine." "Exactly," Yoon-ji replied. "The Voidborn now expect us to fight using a mix of Council and human tactics, so we must do something completely unexpected." She explained her plan. Half the fleet would engage the Voidborn directly, appearing to use all their forces in a frontal assault. Meanwhile, a second group, led by humans, would travel through a nearby nebula, dangerous territory that ships normally avoided, to attack the Voidborn from behind. "No commander would risk their ships in that nebula," protested a Dovan admiral. "The radiation would damage our sensors." "That's why it will work," Yoon-ji insisted. "The Voidborn won't expect it." After heated debate, the Council reluctantly approved the plan. Commander Junseo Nam would lead Earth's Special Combat Division through the nebula, while the main fleet engaged the Voidborn head-on. 2 days later, Junseo stood on the bridge of the Thunderbolt *, leading 50 ships through the swirling gases of the nebula. Their sensors barely worked, and communication was spotty. "All ships, maintain visual contact," he ordered. "Remember your training. If we lose communication, continue to the rally point." His crew, a mix of humans and aliens, worked with quiet efficiency. The alien crew members had overcome their initial doubts about human leadership. 5 minutes to exit point, reported the navigator. Junseo checked the time. The main fleet should already be engaging the Voidborn. His ships needed to arrive at precisely the right moment. "Weapons at full power," he ordered. "All ships prepare for immediate combat upon exit." The nebula's gases thinned, and suddenly they were in clear space, directly behind the massive Voidborn fleet, which was fully engaged with the Council Armada. "They don't see us," Junseo said, a small smile forming. "All ships, attack pattern Sigma. Target their command vessels." 50 ships opened fire simultaneously on the unprotected rear of the Voidborn fleet. Caught by surprise, the Voidborn ships tried to turn and respond, but this left them vulnerable to the main Council fleet. From the command center, Yunji watched as confusion spread through the Voidborn ranks. For the first time, their coordinated movements faltered. Their hive mind couldn't process attacks from two directions at once. "It's working," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. Admiral Vrex watched in amazement as the trapped Voidborn ships began to fall. "A feint and flank," he murmured. "So simple, yet so effective." "Sometimes the oldest tactics work best," Yunji replied, "especially when your enemy has never seen them before." Hour by hour, the tide of battle turned. The Voidborn, caught between two forces, began to retreat. For the first time since the war began, they were truly on the defensive. As the battle ended, the Council war room erupted in cheers. Humans, once mocked for their primitive warfare, had delivered the first major victory against the Voidborn. But the celebration was short-lived. A breathless messenger rushed in. "High Counselor," she gasped. "Urgent news. The Voidborn have launched a new offensive. They're heading directly for the Council homeworld." The room fell silent. The greatest test was yet to come. The Council homeworld of Zenith glowed blue-green in the view screen. Once a peaceful center of galactic civilization, it now prepared for war. Defensive platforms orbited the planet. Ships formed protective barriers in space. On the surface, civilians rushed to underground shelters. In the main defense center, Major Yi Jun Song studied the tactical displays. As a human ground combat specialist, he had been placed in charge of the planet's last line of defense, a mixed force of human and alien troops. "The Voidborn fleet will arrive in 6 hours," announced Admiral Vrex. Gone was his former arrogance. Now he looked to the humans in the room with hope, not scorn. "Our space forces will engage them," Vrex continued, "but we must prepare for the possibility that some enemy ships will reach the surface." "My troops are ready," Yi Jun assured him. "We've trained for this scenario." General Yun entered the room with High Counselor Elzar. The council leader looked tired but determined. "All non-essential personnel have been evacuated," Elzar reported. "This world has stood for 10,000 years. It will not fall today." General Yun moved to Yi Jun's side. "Major, I have a special mission for you." She explained that Commander Hyunji Choi had completed her analysis of the Voidborn. The scientist believed she had identified a critical weakness in their hive mind structure. "Hyunji believes there is a central control node on their command ships," Yun explained. "If we can disrupt it, the entire Voidborn force might be thrown into chaos." "You want me to attack their command ship?" Yi Jun asked. Yun nodded. "You'll leave a small strike team. It's high risk, but if Hyunji is right, it could end this war." Yi Jun stood straighter. "I'll need volunteers. The best we have." "You'll have them," Yun promised. 4 hours later, alarms blared throughout the defense center. "The Voidborn have arrived early," shouted a Meraxi officer. "They're already engaging our outer defenses." On screens around the room, the battle unfolded. Council ships fought bravely, but the Voidborn pressed forward with overwhelming numbers. Suddenly, all communication screens went blank. "They've disabled our long-range communications," reported a technician. "All ships have lost contact with command." Panic spread through the alien officers. Their entire military doctrine depended on centralized command. "Remain calm," General Yun ordered. "This is why we trained for distributed command. Each ship captain knows what to do, with or without orders." The human-trained forces continued fighting effectively, but other council ships fell into disarray without constant direction. "The defense grid is failing," Vrex said grimly. "They will reach the surface within the hour." Yi Jun turned to his strike team. 4 humans and 3 aliens who had volunteered for the mission. "It's time. We launch now." Their small, fast ship slipped through the chaos of battle. Using a stealth system designed by Lieutenant Jin Woo-baek, they approached the massive Voidborn command vessel undetected. Remember, Yi Jun told his team, "Our goal is the central chamber. According to Hyunji's analysis, that's where the hive control node will be." They docked silently at an emergency airlock. Using cutting tools, they forced their way inside. The corridors of the Voidborn ship were dark and strange. The walls pulsed with an eerie light. The team moved cautiously, encountering Voidborn guards that they quickly overcame with silent takedowns. "They don't expect enemies inside their ship," observed Krell, a auxiliary warrior who had volunteered for the mission. Once skeptical of humans, he now fought alongside them with complete trust. The team fought their way deeper into the ship. 2 team members fell to Voidborn defenders. The remaining 5 pressed on, following Hyunji's map to the central chamber. Finally, they reached a massive door. Beyond it lay their target. "Ready the disruptor," Yi Jun ordered. Jinwoo had designed the device based on Hyunji's research, a weapon that would send conflicting signals through the hive mind network. They breached the door and charged into the chamber. Inside, they faced a sight no council species had ever seen: the Voidborn Queen, a massive creature connected to countless pulsing cables. "Now," Yi Jun shouted. His team activated the disruptor even as Voidborn guards swarmed toward them. The Queen emitted a high-pitched wail. Throughout the ship, throughout the fleet, all Voidborn seemed to freeze in confusion. The plan was working, but the team was now trapped deep in enemy territory, surrounded by recovering guards. "Complete the mission," Yi Jun told his team, raising his weapon. "Whatever it takes." The final battle for Zenith, and perhaps the galaxy, had begun. 1 month after the Battle of Zenith, the council chamber was packed. Representatives from all 7 council species gathered for a special session. At the center of attention stood General Ji Woo-yoon, now wearing a new uniform, with both Earth and Council insignia. Captain Dae-ho Kim watched from the side of the room. 6 months ago, he had stood in this same chamber while the Council mocked humanity's military. Today, everything was different. High Counselor Elzar rose from his seat. "This special session will now begin. We are here to officially recognize the critical role of human forces in defeating the Voidborn threat." The room fell silent as Elzar continued. "The sacrifice of Major Yi Jun Song and his strike team turned the tide of battle. When they disrupted the Voidborn hive mind, it gave our forces the advantage we needed." Dae-ho thought of Yi Jun and his team. Only 2 had survived: a human soldier and auxiliary warrior. They had fought their way out of the Voidborn command ship as it fell into chaos. Their actions had saved countless lives. "We also recognize that without human military tactics, strategies, and adaptability, the outcome would have been very different," Elzar added. Admiral Vrex stood next. Once humanity's harshest critic, he now spoke with genuine respect. "I was wrong about humans," he admitted openly. "I saw their technology and dismissed them as primitive. I failed to see what truly matters in warfare: the spirit of the warriors, their ability to adapt, and their determination to fight on against all odds." The chamber, which had once echoed with laughter at humanity's expense, now filled with solemn nods of agreement. General Yoon approached the center of the chamber. "Thank you, Admiral, High Counselor, but I must correct something. This victory doesn't belong to humans alone. It belongs to all of us, working together." She activated the main display, showing images from the various battles. Human tactics worked because Council technology gave them reach. Council forces succeeded because human adaptability gave them flexibility. Separately, we might have fallen. Together, we prevailed. The chamber erupted in applause. Even species that had been most dismissive of humans now showed their appreciation. When the room quieted, Admiral Vrex made a formal proposal. "In recognition of humanity's contribution, I move to establish a new integrated defense force, with joint leadership from all Council species, including humans." The vote was unanimous. Later, at the celebration, Captain Dae-ho Kim found himself standing next to Lieutenant Soo-min Lee, who had recently been promoted to major. "Do you remember our first day here?" he asked her. Soo-min smiled. "How could I forget? They thought we were jokes, children playing at war. And now," she gestured to the room, where humans and aliens mingled as equals. Colonel Min-ho Kang was deep in conversation with auxiliary officers about new training programs. Commander Hyun-ji Choi showed her latest research to fascinated council scientists. Captain Yun-ji Ryu and Commander Jun-seo Nam stood with Admiral Frex, planning the new Defense Force structure. "Now they know better," Soo-min said simply. Ambassador Jun Park joined them, looking pleased. "The Council has approved all our requests. Human troops will be integrated into all defense operations, and they've agreed to share their advanced technology with Earth." "Everything we wanted," Dae-ho noted. "And all it took was saving the galaxy," Soo-min said with a small laugh. Across the room, High Counselor Elzar raised his glass in a toast. "To our newest and perhaps most valuable members, humanity, you have taught us that true strength comes not from technology alone, but from the heart and mind of the warrior." Dae-ho raised his glass with the others. As he looked around the room, he saw not just victory, but something more important: respect. The Council had mocked humanity's army until they saw them fight. They would never make that mistake again. In the vast darkness of space, other threats might one day emerge. But when they did, they would face not a divided galaxy, but a united one. A galaxy where advanced technology was now guided by human ingenuity and spirit. And that combination would be unbeatable. The end.